Welcome to another edition of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jarret Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Mighty Joe, man, another beautiful day here in West Texas. A lot going on, man. National Signing Day happened this week. New coaches being hired to the football staff, and of course the basketball team. Man, in the middle of Big 12 play atop the Big 12 standings. Just a lot going on. How are you, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Never a dull moment around here, it seems.
Really not. And we have some questions from y'all, so we are going to get into them. Let's start with one from, actually it's two, from Red Raider KA. Use one word to describe the 2018 recruiting class for football.
Say underwhelming, perhaps?
Yeah. I would say mediocre.
Okay.
Use one word to describe the basketball season up to this point.
Overwhelming.
Cathartic. All right, Tech Freak wants to know, does Tech seem to have more football preferred walk-ons this year, and will most of these guys end up on the practice squad? Is this a good thing? You know what? It's more publicized, and I think some of that is because the early signing period kind of took a lot of the bang out of the regular National Signing Day in that period. So us recruiting writers have to write about something. Yeah. So, and that's, I don't want to say it's not low hanging fruit, but it's something to talk about. Preferred walk-ons in Tech. You know, they got some good ones. And Nick Gerber from Levelland, the quarterback. Case Gatlin, the outside linebacker from ING, who actually had some Power 5 scholarship offers. Trey Wolf, kicker, which everybody knows Tech needs some depth at kicker. You know, anybody else grab your attention? Either preferred walk-ons?
Was there Kirkpatrick out of
out of Lubbock Cooper?
Yeah, right.
Jay Kirkpatrick, third generation.
Sure, right. And I remember I believe it was his daddy, Ben,
absolutely.
from Post.
Yes.
So always happy to see the old legacy kick in there, and some family ties come into play. So look forward to seeing him do some good.
Yeah, and Jake's granddad actually was a Red Raider in play, which you were probably around in like the 50s, right?
Yeah,
but
thank you very much.
He's patting me really hard right now, just so if I can't tell. Yeah, but no, they do have a lot of preferred walk-ons, but I mean, Tech's had a pretty healthy preferred walk-on program for a while, and honestly, I've seen some people kind of say that as a negative, like they're doing that instead of recruiting. I just don't get that. This is not a negative to bring in guys and not have to pay them, you know, scholarship, to be honest, and some guys that you see some upside with. So they have a healthy walk-on program, one that they brag about a lot, and looks like they're continuing to build on it. All right, Ryan TB123 wants to know, what are the pros and cons of each quarterback competing for the starting job of the 2018 season? I actually asked Cliff Kingsbury on the National Signing Day press conference how many quarterbacks are realistically vying for the starting gig. And he said 3 as of right now, which that makes sense. You have Jed Duffy, McLean Carter, and then the new guy, the freshman Alan Bowman, who is an early enrollee and here on campus and will be competing in spring. So let's start off with Jed Duffy. What do you consider the pros of Jet?
Yeah, I mean, I think just from a purely talent and physical standpoint, this is a guy who's got probably all Big 12 potential. I mean, he's got that. I mean, he's got the arm. Yeah. He's got the mobility. Yeah. You see him back in the pocket, and it looks like he belongs there. He's not that huge guy or anything, but he's not exactly just a little shrimp back there either. I mean, he gets back there, and he looks like he belongs in a Power 5 pocket. You know, so he's got basically the tools to work with, you know. So those are his upsides, you know, to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I agree with that. He has a lot of potential. And I mean, on paper and then on film, when you see in high school, even a little bit what we've been able to see at practice, it looks like, hey, this is the guy. Let's roll him out there. There have been obviously some negatives. He did get suspended from school because it was alleged sexual assault, I believe. I hope that's the right term. It was controversy, put it that way, that he was suspended from the university for. And then I've heard a couple of things as far as just him kind of growing up and taking things, you know, just a little more seriously. And this is from people in Jet's corner, you know, and people that want him to come on too. So it's not like some haterade going on here. I think him having a good day and then being totally lost the next day and just playing around too much, it's kind of slowed his development even further than the suspension. So you like to see him kind of come in and, you know, even Pat back in the day said maybe he didn't take it as seriously as a freshman as he should have, and once the light came on, he realized how much work it was going to take, and just and just keeps. It's only going to keep getting more and more that way. So if Jet can do that and mature, then I think that he may be the guy. But another guy vying for that spot is McLean Carter. To me, he has the most experience on the roster, so that would be the obvious pro. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think he's got some physical tools to work with as well. I mean, he's a pretty good sized boy. Yep. And he has some escapability. He's certainly more mobile than Nick Shimanek was. Yeah. So that's working for him. I think the questions that I've seen with him in the limited time that we've seen of him is I kind of wonder a little bit about. I almost hesitate to see. Yes, that's it. Yeah. Football IQ is what I'm talking about, and some of that could just not be enough time in the system and playing at this level. But I mean, I saw some. Maybe not reading defenses all that well against UT, maybe some not seeing defenders coming in. There were a lot of balls there that as Texas kind of zeroed in on him, were very, very close to being picked off. So to me, that's a guy that needs really to work on the mental side of the game and get to the point where he's reading defenses better, looking off defensive backs, scanning the field, going through his progressions, not locking in on one receiver. I think if he can get that mental side of the things down, then you pair that up with his pretty good physical skills, and you may have something.
Yeah, I was actually told that he has a better arm between him and Jet from somebody. I'd like to see more of them before, that was one opinion. It was an opinion I respect there that see them every day. But yeah, I don't want to go too far into what he did against UT because it was in Austin against really probably the best group of athletes that Tech faced on a defense. Now UT, they have a lot of problems. Obviously Tech beat them, but they had some really good athletes on that defense last year. So I don't want to that's our only tape really we have to evaluate at this level. But I don't want to just kind of like we had Shimanek with Kansas the other way the year before, in 2016. I just want to see more. I definitely haven't given up on McLean Carter, and I want to see what he can do. I think that's going to be a good competition. And then you have Alan Bowman, who's got to be the underdog just because he's coming in as a true freshman. But I saw him in person. The guy has a good arm. Now, he's not as mobile as the other two, and I think that's going to hurt because I think everybody wants to have that mobile quarterback, and Kingsbury maybe as much as anybody. So he has a lot of experience in a similar system, would be a pro. He was very prolific. He was a 4-year starter at Grapevine. When he came up as a freshman, they were like a 3-win team. By the time he left, they were challenging for district titles, winning 10 games a year and going to the playoffs. He threw for over 11,000 yards, all that stuff. I like that, The cons, though, the con has to be the fact that he's more of a statue.
Yeah, right. And, I think he throws some good balls. I really like the way he throws the deep ball and the intermediate stuff. Yeah. I'm still not sure how much touch he's got, maybe on the shorter things. Yeah. And that's probably maybe a little something he's going to have to work on. And obviously the fact that he's a freshman. Right. It's hard for a true freshman to come in here and get the job done. So that's going to be an issue with him, but I think he's got some things to work with. He's not a mobile guy, like you said. He's not going to rip off any 50-yard runs or anything.
Absolutely not.
But I think he does have a little bit of pocket presence. I think he senses pressure pretty well, and then he can just sort of leak out to the outside and avoid those looping defensive ends a little bit. So even if you're not the fastest, quickest guy in the world, if you're smart about the way you move, you can be effective. So I think maybe he does have some of that going for him. We'll just have to see.
You got to have a feel for it in the pocket. I mean, we've seen it with so many Red Raider quarterbacks. Kingsbury, Graham had great. He wasn't a mobile guy, but he had a great feel, a sense of the pocket around him. And then you went all the way to like Shimanek, and like Taylor Potts also didn't have much of a feel in the pocket. So just because you're not the most mobile guy, Tom Brady ran like a 5.2 or something, at the combine. But obviously he's had a lot of success because he has a great feel for the pocket and great at reading defenses. So, Bowman has an outside shot. We'll have to see. It's going to be the dominant storyline of this spring, without a doubt.